live from Trinidad and Tobago.
Welcome to Connections 50 Plus Wednesdays live show.
I am Terri-Ann Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Allison Gibbons and I'm here with Jennifer Gibbons Joseph and Terri-Ann Brathwaite of Connections 50 Plus. They have invited me to be their guest host today, which is why I'm here. So Terri-Ann and Jennifer, tell me more about your story about Connections 50 Plus.
Yes, well, first I would thank you, our guest host. Yes, Allison, Connections 50 Plus. But before I start, we would like to say a special welcome still to our guests in the Caribbean, our Connections 50 Plus followers, before I even start, telling you what it's all about. So, welcome again to our followers from the Caribbean. And, Terri-Ann like to call out all the Caribbean islands. I don't know why, but she loves to do that.
It's New Year's, Caribbean.
Well, we are Caribbean sisterhood.
Right, and we have a different host now, so she's not going to do the same thing.
Well, who's going to start by telling me the story of Connections 50 Plus and your interest in dealing with the generations 50 to 80 years old and the programs that you all have been implementing over 2020? I know you started before that, but let's talk about how 2020 went. 2020 is closing off and we're moving forward into 2021. So tell me the story.
Okay, so the story for 2020. 2020, although it is a challenging year, but January started off very, very good. Actually, Connections 50 Plus is all about helping our 50 plus cohort to transition. And as our followers, people already know that we focus on three main areas. So we focus on self-care, and that is to help our clients or people who following us or plan to follow us to help, when you transition and you have to really look at what's happening with that money that you may have received, whether it's from retirement or whatever situation. So we help in that planning to make sure that you have that financial stability. We also look at self-care, health and wellness to make sure that you enjoy life, because you're in the 5.8G generation. That's the 50 to 80 group of people. So we deal with your health and wellness. And we also deal with, did I say the community and social? So community and social, the health and wellness, and financial. So those are the three main areas that we deal with. As we go along and chat more, Alison, we will get into more about what these programs or what we offer is all about. But in terms of the activities that had occurred for 2020, we started very, very happy. A lot of activities January in Trinidad and Tobago, because that's prior to our carnival period. So January, February, we had a great time. So Connections did their socials. We, we collaborated with one of the Blow Mano Blow, which is a mass band, and we encouraged our followers to come out and have fun. We did that. We spoke also about finances, so we had programs on that. And well, before we reach to the COVID, so between January to March, before the actual pandemic started in Trinidad, I would say Connection is very active socially, and we did have a bit of our workshops prior to that. So Terri-Ann, you could take it from there.
Yes, Terri-Ann, a pandemic, of course, means that the entire world was affected, and we still are affected by the coronavirus, which wreaked some havoc on all countries, from actually, we can pinpoint the date when things started locking down, like March 15th. That was those 2 days, 14th into 15 was when all the countries started following WHO guidelines. So I'm sure that the COVID-19 pandemic affected how you had anticipated your programs to roll out, and you had to make some adjustments. Or did you have to make many
Well,
adjustments?
I would
Terri-Ann,
say,
tell us that.
I would say yes, and I will say no. To the extent that, as Jennifer said, we have different aspects of the program. So where our social agenda was concerned, yes, we had to curtail everything because there was no social distancing. But Connections 50 Plus has always been an essentially digital program delivered digitally. Yes, at the start of the year, we had a small live studio show fix up, but that also had to stop because of COVID. But our core programs outside of social, where we deliver the service of helping our 5.8G generation to transition, are all digital programs. And two of the programs that we really focused on for this year were the Essential Toolkit and the 5.8G Reset, where people who signed on to our website and engaged with us. They did our customized assessments. And from those assessment results, we were able to coach them into directing their lives and making decisions on where they would be and how they would be. So Connections 50 Plus is two sides of a coin. There is the social side that people would see on Facebook. They will see us chatting and talking about topical things, and they would have the social activities. But then there's also the business side, where we are professional coaches and consultants helping individuals to transition to a more purposeful third act after you finish working for others and serving others, whether it's children or whoever. So I think the pandemic was sort of tailor-made for us, if I may say so myself, because we were digital from day one, and this media has never shut down. In fact, this is the media that shot up to prominence. And we've therefore done quite a good job, I think, of building that community of interest in preparing for a grand entry onto the third act stage and having a fantastic time for the 30 years that we are going to occupy that stage between 50 and 80. So I think in this, our second year, we really shut off on the platform we built from 1919, and 2020 with COVID has been good to us. Yeah.
Well, that's a main contradiction, or about the pandemic, in the sense that the pandemic has destroyed a lot of lives. Literally, in terms of deaths and illness, and also people have lost jobs and so on. But we have also discovered that any business or any activity or any organization that utilized the digital platform, thrived, as I said, in a contradictory way, but thrived during the pandemic. So it's that double-edged sword of the pandemic, in the sense that some people and some businesses did well, and at the same time that lives were being destroyed. And we have to acknowledge that it's a blessing, sort of a questionable blessing, but a blessing as well. And we don't want to dwell on the fact that some people receive that kind of push forward during the pandemic. But at the same time, you were able to serve people who were confined, I would say, home. And you already had a format in which to serve them. So that helps people who were at home.
Yep.
But In terms of the transition, either Jennifer or Terri-Ann can answer this. Terri-Ann, you mentioned the transitioning, and some people spend a long time in that transition period because from 50, you can work until 70. That's like a 20-year span. So tell me how your programs gradually walk people through that 15 to 20 years of transitioning before they actually stay at home, if they ever do. Say, well, I'm retired and I'm home and I'm looking for other things to do. How do you serve people through that very lengthy transitioning?
What we found at the start when we first created the programs, we did not include assessments. That's the very early stages of creating the program. They were, prior to online, we did live workshops where we actually had a venue and people coming in and we would chat. But now the programs are created where to walk, as you mentioned, to walk them through. We first start with assessments. So we have different assessments. So let's take, for instance, our program where we call the prime time, where clients who are looking to, they're not sure what they want to do. Okay, so they're either about to leave the workplace or have just retired very early in that stage. So what we thought would be great for them to do is a transition assessment. And that assessment was created by our industrial and organizational psychologist, Dr. Nika Joseph. And in that assessment, when the client complete that assessment, it gives them a guide, a base as to where they are. It reveals what they're passionate about, their skills, etc. That assessment comes with a report. So the report from the assessor really tells the client, you know, this is where they are, reveal their passion, highlight what they're passionate about, highlight their strengths, etc., and give them a guide as to the areas they can get into. It don't necessarily have to be entrepreneurship. It could be just enjoying life. It could be whatever they decide to do. Okay. That now, with that assessment, is coaching 3 coach sessions, which again reinforces, it goes along with that report to help that client, again, give them clarity of where they want to go. So that is one, that's the first stage that we use to help them clarify where they're going, you know, their part.
Those toolkits are essential, and you know, I like the word toolkit in the sense that you can tell some action is happening and that there are applications to help people with their decision making. Do you think some of those toolkits are useful as well for people who probably never had a job outside of the home? You know, there are some women who did not have a job outside of the home, and they are also transitioning in a way that they moving through that particular age group where they have to start thinking what happens next. You know, some of the traditional things, whether it's childcare or grandchildren and so on.
I think, Allison, one of the things we have to first
Terri-Ann or Jennifer. Terri-Ann, you want to take that?
Yeah, you know, one of the things we have to first admit before we even get into the assessments is that our cohorts, the 5.8G generation, is not typically seen as an economically attractive or market attractive generation. And therefore, the first challenge was to really try to get our generation to understand that post 50, 60 is not necessarily retirement, not given the volume of the body of experience that we've had. And a lot had to be done to convince people that you can now focus on you and put you first and do something that makes you happy without being labeled selfish or not caring, because at the end of the day, you've done the job, the career is fine. And if you are a homemaker, you've done a very good job raising the kids, sending them to school. Now you're empty nester and you turn around with a lot of time and talent on your hands and you're in the quandary of, all right, so what do I do? Because I mean, we exercise, we eat well, we go to the spa, and for men, we go to the gym, and we've got experience. So once people arrive at that stage where they have come to the end of their second act of life, which would have been career, homemaker, whatever they were doing, and they're now looking on to the future because someone else, another young one, has taken your place. The next new idea is on. You're not done. You have a long way to go before you're done. And that's where, as Jen was saying, the assessments come in, and doing the assessments, people get to realize, wow, you get to remember, this is what I used to like. Yeah. This is what I did. And then we help you shape what you can do. And that, I think, globally, we are seeing a resurgence of this cohort, our cohort, the 5.8G, our generation. Really we don't want the corporate restrictions. We don't need parenthood. We don't need to be in service of everybody else, but we are smart enough. We have some reserves, and we want to be in service of ourselves, not selfishly, but taking care of ourselves. And I think, as Jennifer said, the assessments help you point the way, and then we are there to coach you along if it's something, because most likely it will be something completely new. And I think that's, plus it's digital. And our generation is one of the heaviest users of Facebook. So they can be at home, it's not threatening, it's not leaving the house, there's no security issue, there's no threat. So join Terri-Ann and Jennifer, and let's find some new adventure to go on. So I think we struck a chord in the COVID life.
I can also see that entrepreneurial part of your program, even meeting the needs of people who flip life on its head, in a sense that they were at home up until age 50, and then they decide, hey, I want a job now at this period of my life. I live in the US, and everything happens here, but I know that kind of spirit of entrepreneurship kind of emerged a lot during the late half of 2020, including people in that generation who may not have had a job before, joining that emergence of entrepreneurship, and because a lot of creativity happened, people find out that they can cook, they can sew, they can make masks, they can do gardening, and they can sell stuff, and they could exchange with the neighbor. All of a sudden it's like, hey, I could put my talent to work and make an income as well in the late half of my life, as against at the beginning. Found themselves doing little cottage industries.
Yes.
During the late half of 2020. So people like that would benefit a lot as well. Not just with the retirees looking to work for themselves, but people who did not have a job before in the corporate world, but want to put their talent to work. So tell me about the toolkit was that what you were speaking about, Jennifer?
Yes, and I will add to that what you just said in terms of persons going into the job market with homemakers before. What we have done, we have also included to help them, because we know money will be a great challenge for them in terms of how they should handle their money, how the business could be profitable, etc. So we have two types of assessment. For those who are interested in going into entrepreneurship, they also do the entrepreneurship assessment. And then we have the financial assessment for those who just want to learn how they can manage their money. So we have those assessments to help guide, so they will know where they are, and what they have to put in place. And all the assessments, as I mentioned before, both the entrepreneurship and the financial follows with the consultancy and the coaching sessions to help give them that guidance, because many would want to do something, but they don't know where to start. They don't know the steps to take. So our role is to guide them with that report, to guide them into what steps to take, so they will be successful in their venture.
Okay, tell me more about the health and wellness, because that dimension of life kind of comes into sharp focus when people cross 50 and everyone starts talking to them. Your physician
Yes.
start talking to you about that, or the messages on, if somebody's trying to sell you something to do with health and wellness. Seems as though that fits right into your Connections 50 plus. Terri-Ann, you want to talk
And
about
before
that?
Terri-Ann talk, the reason that I would love Terri-Ann to talk, because when she did she actually did that fitness part, and she will tell you about, what was it, the planks? Which one, Terri-Ann, you was quite interested when she posted the clip.
Yeah, the thing about it is that, as Jennifer had indicated before, we look at life in three areas. We look at the economic aspect of life, we look at the community aspect of life, and then we look at self-care. And with the toolkit, we say we're giving you a baseline to start mapping out what's going to happen on this grand third act of life. And you see that thing about this corpus that we're walking around with, mind, body, and soul. We thought about, all right, so how do we now assess? Because everything has to be digital. It's not you coming into a doctor or anything like that. But we didn't want to do the regular check your height, your weight, your BMI. So we collaborated with Maria Elias, who is a nutritionist, dietitian. She is a certified physical trainer, and she understood how her job is to get people ready to have a fuller life. And Maria designed a full assessment, and it's split into two parts. There's the nutritional part, and then there's the fitness. We'll talk about the nutritional first. But in the assessment, her questions take you through and make you analyze what you eat, how you rest, how you sleep. And out of that assessment, Maria literally sits and tells you, okay, this is where you are deficient, these nutrients and micronutrients. And this is what could happen to you if you don't fix it. And these are the kinds of foods that you need to put into your diet in these amounts to get it right, so that your system, it becomes healthy. So you can have a healthy system. So we look then at, how are you going to be? Can you move? Because she's a person who's into movement. And we thought about, okay, she says, well, to assess how people move, there are 6 things that they have to do. So there's the stalk stance, there's the plank, there's this sit, and there's this stretch and something else. So we had to choose 2 models. Yours truly was one, and we had a older meal. So in the assessment, you have to literally do some exercises. And you have a video, and you have to measure how you've done it. And
I was thinking you'll have a full spec.
Yeah.
You'll have a full spectrum program that a lot of people will benefit a lot from, all aspects of it, or 3 out of 4, or 2 out of 5, whatever it is. There is something for everyone.
Yeah. And additionally, one of the things,
all right,
Allison, I want to say is that the way we want people to change how they think. It's not normal. So even the measurements and the ratios that she uses are the normal ones. So yes, you'll use the weight and the height and the body mass index and so on. But she also uses things like your waist to height ratio. She uses about 3 different measurements to really give you a sense of all right, where is that extra fat? And what do you need to do? Because, you may go on the scale and someone tell you need to lose 80 pounds. But when Maria does it, she said, no, it's not 80, it's 20. But it's the changing in diet that's going to happen. So it makes it really possible, you know?
Happen.
Yes. So when you finish the toolkit, you are really, that report, you have a clear sense of what you really like, your interest. You have a sense of where you are with your relationship with money, and you have a sense of who you are health-wise. So you really have the blueprint to now really have a ball in this 5.8G area of life. And that's what we at Connections 50 Plus really want.
I was thinking that it seems very much that in the latter half of 2020, seeing that so many people were confined, to operate from their homes, which also gave a boost to your getting deeper into all your offerings
Yes.
through the digital medium and, online offerings. So now that the 2020 is coming to a close and you have seen those things fall in place a little bit better than the first half of 2020, how do you see that moving into 2021?
We
Jennifer.
see it, I mean, it's ideal. It is just suited for the market for 2021. So as you said, it's digital. What we have found too, again, you mentioned there are two sides to the pandemic. You have the positive and you have the negative. But on the many people within that our age group would have also lost their jobs. Okay?
That would be true.
As a result of that, they have to think differently. They have to look at what next for them to do. So you find at this stage, they are home, very frustrated and don't know where to turn. So what we have found, and even we have streamlined and we added a plus to that same package to ensure that everyone could be helped, and focusing on those that home right now, don't know where to turn, can't manage, or their money, as we say, can't stretch anymore, right? We see our packages because we have the toolkit that gives you that they can do the assessments, but they can also do individual packages. So for instance, for those who may think that, okay, I have to do something, I don't know where to turn, or have started some small business and need help, they can just focus strictly on the entrepreneurship package, which is an individual package. For those in terms of, again, frustrated and can't deal with your situation, they can look to do some life coaching sessions. So we have the individual packages. For those who people may sit back and say, it's all good, they have great packages, but is it affordable? We have ensured it is affordable and they can do the individual or the group.
That's important to know, that it's affordable. I understand, using my psychology background, it's important for people to make that decision to spend a little bit of money on themselves.
Yeah.
Even when they're scared, because if people are home, they lost their jobs, or they have been furloughed, or they have been released, or they have been paid off, that people are usually scared about spending because they're not sure what's going to happen next. So it's important for people to understand that they can't get frozen in one spot and not move forward, because whatever money they have is going to finish and they're not going to be any step further ahead. So it's an early decision that they have to make right away, to say, I need to spend a percentage of whatever money I have on that self-promotion, self-advancement, getting help to make that step before it's too, before everything runs out. So they have to make that decision very, very early in the layoff or in the early retirement or whatever it is that happened, even with the loss of a job, to say, I have to make the sacrifice so that my next 20 years are going to be better than if I did nothing and sat down and have nothing within a year period, everything is gone. So it's important for them to know that it's affordable. And also I am sending the message of, hey, it's important for you to think about that very, very early in the game, to invest on yourself. Terri-Ann, you wanted to add something to that, I'm sure.
I think that is such an important point, because sometimes we are coaches. We are coaches. We are not psychologists. You are. So you would find that, and I'd be straight and say that our programs are not for everyone, because the person who needs help, needs more help to make those first steps, would probably have to get some more external help. But you see, once you are motivated to act and you're looking for guidance in terms of what direction, but that ignition, the ignition light must be on. At least the ignition light is on.
Yeah.
And then you come in and we help you to move forward. And we do know that there are people who, with the fear, can be paralyzed. And then, Allison, that's where we collaborate with people like you to say, all right, get people out of the inertia and out of the fear, and then go on. Because you've got to make a decision to invest in your future, much like while you were in your second act, you invested in clothes, in handbags, in spa treatments, in training, education to get all the promotions. And much like you invested a fortune in making sure your kids were educated or stayed healthy to survive, you've got to make those executive decisions for yourself at this stage to say, okay, I'm going to invest a bit to set myself for the next 20, 30 years. And that's an important distinction that we of this 50 plus generation have to make, because the pension is probably, you're going to live beyond the 80, but you see that 50, 60, 70, 80, you need to be active and still productive. And that's the thing that differentiates our group, our cohort, our target market.
I totally agree. But what came to mind as Terri-Ann was speaking is that those persons in the workplace, they are used to companies paying for them. They have the EAP programs. They may have certain programs that if they have some concerns, and particular challenges, that the companies may pay for them. When they leave the workplace now, it is really, they find it very difficult, as you say, to put money out of your pocket, although they see that there's a need, because they haven't been used to, they have been used to being carried by their companies. So I just want to reinforce, definitely, this is the time, because during this pandemic, moving forward into 2021, this is the time for them to take inventory. This is the time for you to spend some of that money to say, you know what, I have to be ready. I have to be ready to move forward. And our program, Connections 50 Plus, that is what we have been building over the last year and a half. Creating programs to help people in transitioning. And when we check the market, and we're looking more in the Caribbean side, I'm not talking about, internationally so much now, that there isn't much of similar programs, that combination that we have, and working together, Terri-Ann and I, with our different skills to help walk people through this period. And that is what we are offering to take them into 2020, successfully, I should say, into 2021.
One of the, that's very important in moving into 2021 and using some of the energy of the program development that match the needs of people who were sheltering in place, from the pandemic. Jokes that comedians write about people at home during the pandemic, but women on a whole admitted to not, getting a little more comfortable with not spending money on things like pedicures and manicures and clothes and handbags and hairdos and, and so on. And I'm thinking, people could redirect some of that money. They weren't spending money on transport to get to work, and so on. And that some of that money could be, the idea of that money not being spent, theoretically, I know it is, but still it's real and practical in many cases, that, hey, wait a minute, I would have spent on some redirection for myself in building a new entrepreneurial sector for myself and so on. Or getting ready by training for some other type of job, or as many people realize, they discovered a whole lot of talents,
Yes.
you know, or they spend time online learning something that they did not know before, and now can put it to good use and invest in themselves and moving forward. I think that's what I hear coming from you all. Invest in yourself, and we at Connections 50 Plus, as Terri-Ann and Jennifer say, we will try to match your needs as much as possible, but you have to be ready as a client. One of the fallouts of pandemic obviously was the lessening or the elimination almost of the social community type of activities. So even though there is a vaccination on the horizon, and there are vaccinations from different pharmaceutical companies on the horizon, many of the experts are saying this isn't over. So into July and August. So obviously you're not going to be looking at social, external, and community-based activities. So where are you all going to put that saved energy? Are you going to have digital social activities, or you think you're going to redirect some of your energy and time?
Well, actually, we came up with a very innovative project for the Christmas season. We had a digital marketplace, because one of the things we also say about our cohort is, cash is not everything. In your 5.8 G life, you're going to have probably lower income flows than you had in the first life. And we've got to get accustomed to a cashless society. So we experimented with a bartering marketplace, and it was a success. I mean, we have plans to, and it allowed people to meet new people online, and you put pictures of things you have up and you exchange, or I like this, I like that. We traded tablecloths, jewelry, sorrel, ginger beer, avocados, plants, bunch of crap. It was
that's a wonderful activity. Sounds like something that you should repeat 3-4 times a year and make it one of your staples, because people may be a little bit fearful at first, or hesitant, I should say, more than fearful. But I think it's an idea that will grow, because it's an international idea, having digital marketplaces. And you are taking it from the type of eBay digital marketplace involving money to one that's cashless.
Yes.
Which I think it takes us back to the bartering type of society. And I think as people get more accustomed to the idea that it's something that can grow. So I'm glad it was successful. It sounds like it's something that you all should continue. Is that something you see going forward?
Definitely.
I can see it going forward, because as you mentioned, this pandemic not going to stop. And even those who started something new to look ways to earn money, they may not start getting that returns in, very soon. It takes a little while for things to pick up. So in the interim, you may need something, and someone else may have it. So for instance, I started a kitchen garden, and during that time, I was able to put on the marketplace, I need plants. And someone, she had plants. She has a great garden going, and she told me what plants, and she brought the plants. And I had some items there, and it was Christmas. So I had some items there from year before that I brought, and I was, selling, made some gift packages to sell for Christmas. And some remained, and I showed it, and she was happy to take those. So that bartering worked great. And that will be throughout the year, because we need different things. And we don't want to spend, you wouldn't want to dip into our pockets to do that. That should go into more reinvestment, things for ourselves. So I can see it going on and on, like how they're accustomed having garage sales all the time, but this would be a cashless online
flea market. Cashless flea market.
And flea markets are right throughout the year. So I could see it definitely. you know.
One of the things from an emotional, psychological standpoint, again, is some people's hesitancy comes from the idea of value. In other words,
Yes.
I think my stuff is worth more than that. But one of the things about value is as value serves. In other words, valuable to me. We're not talking cash,
Right.
value. We're just talking, what is it worth for me to have that? Or what is it worth? So without measuring actual dollar value, it's an emotional and a practical value that people have to think about. I have this wonderful dress. It may have cost $500. That doesn't matter right now. What matters is I'm never going to wear it again.
Yes.
That's what matters right now. And the fact that someone else could wear it, and from them I could get 2 plants.
Yeah.
That's what people have to think of when they are bartering in a cashless society, as against trying to figure out in their head an actual dollar value. If you're going cashless, it's cashless. It's nothing. It's not about, well, I paid this for it. It's about what use is it? Do I want this?
Yeah, you trade in your surplus.
Yeah,
trade in your surplus.
Yeah.
Don't need it.
Yeah, don't need it. You have it. That's how. If once people get in that mindset, it's a matter of need-based. Then I think you all want a great idea, and I'm sure it's going to thrive even more in 2021.
Oh yeah.
So that was an example of a social activity. But do you anticipate having any, COVID notwithstanding, somewhere in the late half of 2021, perhaps, if it's possible?
I want to raise something
face-to-face gathering.
I want to raise something that's a little on the little saucy side. That I'm going to throw it out here.
I'm waiting to hear what this is.
One of the things that ever since we started with our socials, one of the things that people want is companionship. And this third act, you're either divorced, you're separated, you're widowed, or something. And people have been coming to us, and Jennifer and I have been.
Don't tell me you're thinking of starting a dating service.
Wait. One thing that has happened is, and I'm sure the people involved, I'm not going to call names, and the people are not going to mind me doing this. I received a call one day from a person, a gentleman, who was widowed 5 years ago, and who told me that his daughters instructed him to call Connections 50 Plus, call these women and get involved because you need to get some company. And he obediently called. And I'm listening to this conversation and I'm saying, now Jennifer and I were talking just before about we need to, the demand is so much there, but we don't want to do a dating service. So we started to think through about it. Who are the people that we know that this might fit? Long story short, I think sometime in February, Jennifer and I go into a wedding. So we will have our first Connections 50 Plus wedding. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to do a dating service, but I think the fact that we attract like-minded people, and to the extent that we have serious like-minded people, possibilities emerge. So whereas you might not be able to socialize in the same place through the market space, you can meet people and chat. One of the things that we are thinking of is games night, bingo, different things like that. We're going to arrange things where people, and we've had some meetups last year where people who are really interested can come together in this. We are accustomed to this little rectangle. Zoom is where we meet. And we're going to do it. And we know that for every 1,000 followers we have, it's probably 100 that are going to take the step forward. It's okay. Let's go. Let's go. Let's just keep going. And that's how we're going to move on, And I want to say,
I definitely, Terri-Ann, I agree with you. And there is that need, and I would say meet and greet. Definitely not a dating service, but that introduction, and if they want to become couples after, whatever, let them make that decision. But our part will be having some sort of social gathering online.
Like
where they can people just chat and share They're
you're opening up opportunities.
definitely. Oh
That's
yes.
what you're doing.
Oh
right?
yes, we are.
And you're right. Sounds like some of the opportunities would require people to make a financial commitment
Yeah.
Yeah.
in terms of investing in themselves, and some opportunities will just be available and free, which is a good mixture, of things. This right.
yeah.
The social activities will be there, but also that people will want to to use the opportunities for their own advancement as well, where those things are offered in the health and wellness area, the entrepreneurship, the self-care, financial not assistance, but financial expertise in terms of money management and budgeting and so on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wonderful. So you all are looking forward, I can hear, for going into 2021.
But I think one
we
thing
are
to
excited.
mention, yes, about, you do a lot of work, and sometimes you ask yourself, what's the point of this? And Jennifer and I have always been very clear that there are two sides to our business. There's the social side where we communicate and we let people get to know us and to meet us, and we have our business programs. And coming to the end of this year, we were thrilled that the 18 months of hard work paid off, because we came to the attention of a very, very important entity in Guyana, and they've approached us to collaborate and represent our products in Guyana. I'm talking about Action Invest Caribbean Incorporated. Guyana is an economy and a people that are going to be in serious transition as a result of their discovery of oil and so on. And the principal of this company, Dr. Vishnu Durga, is the person who does business coaching, business planning, business support, and so on. And he identified that niche that we occupied. He realized that, listen, that's a demand, but there's no service. And he invited us to collaborate with him. So while we would have been doing our programs and continuing believing in our mission and our vision, it took a time to get that breakthrough. So 2021 is going to be even more exciting for us, because now we're going to be exporters, literally. And our services, we're going to collaborate with a significant business in Guyana to help and support the Guyanese population in their transition journey. Still going to have our operations available to the Caribbean, to Trinidad, and so on. But it speaks to the decision that you must make at this stage in life. That this is what you want to do, this is what you want to achieve, and begin to do it, and do it consistently. And that's I think that's the message we want to send. And while you're doing it, have fun. Have fun. So 2021, we're excited because we're going into different fields, but we're still going to be continuing our programs and all of our different activities.
I totally agree with you, Terri, and I know we definitely on the same page with this. I'm all excited. I mean, going into a new market, meeting new people, and really sharing with them and helping with that transition process in Guyana. So we are just continuing, and I can see 2021, not just Guyana, but the Caribbean market, because what the work we're doing now is being appreciated, it's being seen throughout the Caribbean, and Guyana is just the start. So I'm all excited, because doing what we love to do, helping others, taking the 5.8G generation to a happy and successful future.
Well, I can just wish you all the best and hope that you have an expanding market and that people will take advantage of all these opportunities that you will have so well put together structurally in terms of the different dimensions that you're going to be covering. And those may sound serious, but but you're also going to maintain some aspect of the social dimension so that people can relax and have fun even while they're focusing in some of the more serious developmental tasks, in their lives. So here we have Connections 50 plus, 5.8 generation, meeting the needs and kicking off 2021 with serving the people in one of the next door neighbors to Trinidad and Tobago, which would be Guyana on the mainland. But as Terri-Ann explained how that step forward is going to work and who they're collaborating with. And Jennifer is looking forward to other Caribbean venues in terms of as the marketplace.
Yes, definitely.
For the Connections 50 Plus program. So I'm glad even in these circumstances for you all that 2020 opened up doorways of expanding the digital work that you all have been developing and didn't really anticipate the mushrooming of those needs, not just for you offering, anyone who was offering any digital material at all. So you were set to go, even while we were mourning and grieving with other people in terms of losses that were incurred during 2020 and continuing for some people. So on the positive side, here are some programs that will help people with that transition from whether it's the workplace, from home, from developing a talent into an income generating idea, or meeting someone through connections. Well, it was great talking to you, Jennifer and Terri-Ann, and I'll continue with that if you'll invite me again. And I'm available.
Thanks again. And before you go, I want to congratulate you on your website, the launch of your website, which really, I mean, it is fantastic. I circulated, I did send out, and we would put it on too for our followers who looking on, because I found it really like me going through a magazine and can relate, to all that you have done.
Well, it was
so,
one of those
and
things,
let me tell followers, and she did it on her own.
But I was just going to say,
built
right,
it,
I was
the website.
I was mentioning the whole idea of discovering your talent while you were at home rather than being bored. It's something that I had in mind for some years, because I took a course some way back when, even before when the idea was emerging, having a website, and I took a course, and I really, I had to do a project for the final exam, and that was it. And that was 2015. 2005. What am I saying? 2015, 2005. And I forgot all about that. And then here am I looking for something to do with my brain and my creativity. And I go, okay, it's time to create a website. And I have to admit the array of tools that are available today. And I just woke up one morning and I figured, okay, time to do it. And I have to say I impressed myself in terms of what I was able to do. And then it became fun. Terri-Ann keeps talking about having an element of fun. It became fun just discovering your own creativity and talent you didn't know you had, and skills to be able to do that, and day by day watch it emerge into something that you were trying to create and product.
Allison, can you just describe?
I'm listening.
Can you just describe your perspective, what you're trying to achieve, and who you're speaking to in the website?
Okay, the website is called Ageistry, AGEISTRY. One of my postdoc programs I did was in gerontology, which gerontology is about the study of aging.
Yeah.
And I created this hybrid word, because when you have ISTRY at the end of any word, it's really about the kind of observance and light study of something.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the idea that what we are looking at is how we age, and the processes we are going through, and the things we are discovering about ourselves as we age. And I realized that word did not even exist, even though the root of the words, the stem and the root of the word coming together. So I registered that name, and then I started working on some of the ideas I've had from studying gerontology in terms of what do we need to know about people as they age, and the talents that we have that we need to explore further. So I mixed all kinds of ideas in there and catering to people. I said 65 and over. Not that younger people are not going to learn anything from it, because they're heading towards 65 at some point. Or they are in a relationship with someone who is 65 and over, whether it's a spouse, a friend, a parent, an older sibling, or whomever. So of course, people in your group, 50 plus, can benefit from exploring my website. But I hope to, I have a blog on it where I hope to bring some content in terms of what we are experiencing. So I would choose content to put in the blog. The first blog I put on it, if you read it, is about the whole idea, something called death cleaning, the Swedish idea of death cleaning, and it sounds ominous, but it's not. But the whole idea of that, and what we, as we get older, some of the responsibilities we have to ourselves and our family members. But some of those little more serious things will be on the blog. I will bring some news. I would pick elements out of the current news cycles that particularly speak towards our age group and things we are dealing with. I have a creative section. I write. I'm working on a novel as we speak, and I also write poetry, and I thought I'd put some of my poetry there and invite some people in our age group who also write to have a platform. And 2 people already accepted, and they thanked me for showcasing their poems. And also, I mentioned some of the individual online services that I offer, like webinars and one-on-one counseling as well. And digital media works for all of that.
Exactly.
And I also would provide little snippets of things, little snippets of things that people, I would think, in our age group need to know. Even entertainment. Like I have one aspect where the AARP, for example, does a survey every year on movies that adults should enjoy, as against some of the other kinds of movies that really don't cater to us at all. So I borrowed, I showcased AARP list of movies, what they call movies for grown-ups. And some of the other things that I hope to develop about scams that target older people, particularly like romance scams are targeted very directly. But because the entire world is on the internet right now, everyone can be targeted.
You have to be alert. What I really liked about it, what I really liked about it is that I suppose, like Connections 50 plus, many people, when they think of aging, they immediately see it as a period that you prepare for death. But I think there is so much life in it before that time. And I think that's the niche that we occupy. So I just loved its vibrance, and there's so much in there, because people get confused. All right, I'm done with work. What am I going to do now? There is so much to be done now. So between ourselves, I'll be happy to support it.
And designing the website, I had to think of certain things. You enter you cross 50, and certain things start happening. For example, no fault of yours, it just happened, like your eyes, you need to wear glasses, So I had to think of things like, the font size and how to scroll on it. And, for people who are not digital natives, as the phrase that we use, these young people who are born with computers, who may think, well, I'm too old for, being on the internet and whatever. And I also had to think of people who probably don't have a computer or an iPad or a laptop, but they have a smartphone. So I had to think of a design that would pop on a small screen as well and scroll in a particular direction. So those are the thoughts I had in my head. I guess a 30-year-old might not have had some of those concerns, but I was able to think, okay, if all you have in terms of internet access is a phone with a screen this size, how would
The mobile integration has to be there, of course. Yeah.
right?
Optimize
How would
mobile.
how would an internet, how would a website scroll on that? So I had to think of a design that worked well on a smartphone.
Yeah.
So I was, so every day I would think of something else. And go, okay, I think I need to do this with it or that with it to cater to this particular age group. Choose the size of font and and so on. I'm happy you all were able to view it, and I've had some really good feedback.
Yeah, the feedback has been really great.
I think it's great. I think it complements what we do so well. I really am excited about potential for the people in the 5.8 generation and beyond who want to live. And I would say that's the niche, and we're saying, step over the chasm, take a leap. It's okay, we'll catch you. And we'll go down the road together. And we'll
go down the road together.
Yes.
Thank you, right? I thank you all for mentioning it. I didn't agree to host your program because of that.
No, but we definitely had to mention it. Because as Terri-Ann said, it goes so well with what we are all about at Connections 50 Plus.
So I know, and I'll try to keep up in terms of what do I think people, I'm in that age group. So in terms of anticipating, what do people in this age group need to know, need to be doing, and in terms of self-development and so on.
Great.
Agehistory.com, yes.
Yes.
And I love the poem you did on COVID, and I would really post it. I promised to post it,
I did.
We're going to do it on our Facebook.
So ladies,
it's really nice.
Yes.
So ladies, guess what time it is?
It's time to say bye, but we also have to say Happy New Year, because
Happy New Year.
We are closing 2020 and going into 2021.
Yeah. And I think from where we sit, I know 2020 has been a challenging year, but in any era of life, whether you went from the Stone Age to the Iron Age to the Steam Age, we're in the digital age, whether we've had pandemics before, we've had stressors before.
Yeah.
A stressful period is a period for creativity and renewal. And what allows you to succeed is to go towards the opportunity, go towards what can be created and what can be renewed. And that allows you to...
I'm sure people may, those who may not have lived through a pandemic, lived through the crash of everybody's economy in what year was that, 2008?
Exactly.
Which feels like, right.
We were making the joke at the start.
Something,
We were making the joke at the start that 21 is for our generation, the age at which you came of age. So we are going into the 21. We're big people now.
Coming of age.
We're coming of age. Yeah. And I think that
big people, right.
Notwithstanding the challenges, notwithstanding and not ignoring the challenges, there are tremendous opportunities. This digital world allows us so many opportunities, and we are just excited to be part of creating pathways for people to explore and move on.
People in our age group could also lapse into this, what I call wasteful habit of just browsing the internet aimlessly, and getting caught up in, meaningless activity on the internet. And we're saying, okay, let some of us provide some content for you. And we are doing that. You are doing that with Connection. And I just joined that part of it by saying, let me produce a website that if people want to browse the internet, here's something from it. That will provide you some light entertainment as well, but some stuff for you to learn, for you to get involved with, something. Browse the internet constructively.
Okay.
Okay. I love the end. Browse the internet constructively. And we have the content for you.
Yes. Yeah. So, Jennifer,
yes, you do.
We leave you to say bye-bye for 2020.
I just saying goodbye to everyone. Thanks for being on board with us for 2020. Thanks for following Connections 50 Plus, all your positive comments, your encouragement. We look forward for 2021. We have some slight changes. We would continue, of course, with our Wednesday Live, but we may shorten it a bit. Instead of 1 hour, we may just do 30 minutes or so, but definitely providing you with content that will benefit you and get you moving for a successful 2021. So we say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay, and bye for now. See you next year.
50 Plus Tribe and followers from TNT and the Caribbean. Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50 Plus Wednesday Alive show. We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week. Don't forget to like and share our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.